the Leafs are in first place in the division, but I kind of wish we had Grebenkin back. I don't know. The Leafs cast is back.
Holy mackerel, what a shot! It's Auston Matthews! Do you believe that? Pounds it off the roof of the net!
Welcome back to the Leafs cast. Stephen Douglas joined by Tim and Ryan Allison, and the Leafs are in first place in the division, boys.
Gotta love it.
What?
We have
objectively better than any other position in the division that you can be.
This one.
We have a whole 3 points. It's like it feels like the biggest lead we've had in ages. Where for a while it was just who has the tiebreaker gets to be difference between first and third.
The predictions, that I was making about how it was going to come down to like just these games against Florida to decide who's going to win this division has really not been the case, because even though the Leafs are first in the division right now, it's been a really up and down past couple weeks. We haven't potted in a few weeks, but where the Leafs went into this like kind of final, 20 game stretch with what I believe was either the easiest or second easiest strength of schedule remaining, right? Like we've had a couple of stinker teams that we've gotten to go up against, and the Leafs seem to fail to get it done against a lot of those, but then we go out and like they beat the Kings, who's one of the best teams in the league. They can beat the Avalanche. We've got Florida coming up. So it's like it's been really up and down. And it I guess it might come down to these final 2 games that we have against Florida, one against Tampa. But gosh, it's tight. It's good to be where we're at, though. I mean, more than any other season, in a Boston-less Atlantic Division, the Leafs have a chance to win it and face off against a much easier opponent than Tampa or Florida.
What's interesting about the Leafs, surge to the top of the division this year is it's not like the Leafs are doing any better than they usually are. Like they're right around their point total last year. They're going to finish with around somewhere between 100 and 105 points, which is right about what they did last year, and I think the year before, and worse than they did the year before that. But what makes it different this year is there's not a team in our division who has 129 points at the end.
Yeah.
Like for so long, Boston was just like roaring, or Tampa was like record-setting seasons, or more recently, Florida is just like winning the President's Trophy, and it's just, I don't know. It's kind of a weird place to put the Leafs because it feels great. We're first in the division. We're really set up for success. We're going to play a wild card team in the first round. But we're not necessarily better. It's just the division took a step back around us and we didn't. I don't know.
I mean, there is something to be said about like keeping the window open longer. Like the Leafs are on. I'd be interested to know when the last time they made the playoffs. Like this is our 9th year in a row, I think, making the playoffs, 8th or 9th.
Boston's window was open as a cup contender for like 20 years, Tim.
Yeah, but they missed
for the
it
Leafs,
that one
though.
year. We
They
made
did
it every
miss that
year that
one
Auston Matthews has been here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Lucky him. Look at him. He gets to show up off the street and join the Leafs, who hadn't made it. Well, they made it in 2013, then not for 9 years. And they just make it every year he's here. Maybe he's the key. I don't know. But yeah, it's a good place to be. We've got some big games coming up, which we're going to get into. That's a big part of what's going to keep the Leafs holding on to the division. But yeah, for those at home that maybe aren't as familiar with the Leafs' position, is we have not finished first in the division in the traditional Atlantic. I don't know, ever.
No,
Since there was an Atlantic.
We won the Canadian division, which that counts, but it was not against our usual competition. And when you end up first in the division, you have the chance to play Columbus or Montreal rather than Tampa or Florida or Boston.
Steven stating 2 teams that we have lost to in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, Tim, we've lost to. Is there a team in the East we have not lost to in the playoffs at this point? We lost to Washington in 2016. We've never lost to, I guess, the Islanders. It could happen. Maybe this is the year. But it's a big deal. It would be a really different vibe, I think, to just not have to go up against an absolute titan. Because even, Ryan, like when you're saying, in our division, there's always a team that has 129 points, right? Well, whoever has second, which was usually Boston or, like whoever didn't get first, right, would have 121, right? Like they were still, an absolute titan. So I don't know. There's softer competition, and hopefully the Leafs can capitalize.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been about 2 weeks since we last podcasted. That last podcast, we were worried. We were sweating buckets how the Leafs were showing up. But Leafs have turned it around on the backs of a few strong performances. Max Domi woke up out of nowhere, is now on fire. It's like this guy, he spends half the season like basically playing himself out of the league, it seems. He did the same thing last year.
Yeah.
And then he just wakes up. It's wild. But
it's pretty crazy like how similar it is to last year. Last year, him and Bertuzzi both were just so bad to start the season. And then it was earlier than this year, maybe like 50 games in. He just woke up and was like, oh, this guy's great. And he was great in the playoffs. This year, he decided to sleep around for the first 70 games. Like,
he didn't have a goal until
he had like 2
Christmas.
goals and 50 something games. It was is unbelievable how ineffective he was for so long this year. We just saw it last year, and all of us still lost faith that he'd be able to turn it around. And sure enough, he has turned it around. But it's at a big cost that he waits this long to do it. And you mentioned it last podcast, Stephen, but like we traded a lot to bring in Scott Laughton because Brad lost faith that Domi could do it, and Craig Berube lost faith that he could do it. And we're like, we need to bring in a center because Domi can't do it. We trade a first-round pick. We trade our favorite quote machine. And now he's like literally the next game decides I'm going to be the best version of myself again. And he's our third-line center. It looks like he's probably going to be our third-line center in the playoffs, which is crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, maybe there is something to said that like he needed someone to push him to be the center. So now that he is competition, he's showing up. It's wild though. But I mean,
so then Berube puts him on a line with the guy who will take his job. So then Scott Laughton can just line up at left wing and just stare at his potential future job. Yeah, it is crazy that Domi can turn it on like this. And Tim, I don't think it's an exaggeration whatsoever when you say basically playing himself out of the league. I mean, come this past deadline, we and other people are talking about the Leafs offloading that contract even, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's how out of a job he basically was. And, I mean, that goal he had Sunday night, the backhander was sick. Best goal he scored all year. And he seems to
There's
have
not many, but...
yeah, best of the 5. I don't actually know. And even though, I mean, we say, like, playing himself out of the lineup, like, he still generates quite a few assists in the season. Like, sometimes I don't know, you know, like, what are we expecting out of a $3 million third-line guy? But I guess more than that. So, Domi coming back is big. I do want to get into, though, the lineup kind of around him and kind of that rotating cast. Because even though Domi's been cooking, we've been seeing an interesting combination between Scott Laughton, between Calle Jarnkrok, who's been back now for a handful of games, Pontus Holmberg, Nicky Robb. What do you guys see happening? Because, you know, as of right now, like the lineup is essentially in the bottom 6 is Scott Laughton, Max Domi, and Calle Jarnkrok on the wing, and then the fourth line ends up being Pontus Holmberg, David Kampf, and Steven Lorentz. Yeah, where we have Nicky Robb sitting in the press box. He's got like 12-something goals on the season. You've got Tim's man, Max Pacioretty, kind of on, you know, Robidas Island. Is there someone else I'm forgetting?
Ryan
Reeves.
Oh, that doesn't count. He's in the AHL. But so, like, what do you see shaking out here? Because you've got, like, Pontus Holmberg. Sometimes he's on the second line. Sometimes he's out of the lineup. Who do you think this is the right combination, or come playoff time, can you see the Leafs really leaving a guy like Nicky Robb out of the lineup in favor of one of these guys, or Tim's man, Max Pacioretty?
Max Pacioretty is a really tricky one. Like, it's not easy for guys, especially guys later in their career. Like, what is he, 36 years old? To just come back after missing like 2 months or 2.5 months and not be skating, not be going out, and then all of a sudden to just be thrust into a playoff series. Like, it's got to be hard to keep up at that point. So I don't even know. Like, we've done it before. Is it Riley Nash? Is that who we brought in at the trade deadline? And just
about Riley.
He played his first game in the playoffs. I think he started out first game 1, and I don't think he finished the series because he just couldn't do it. And it's like, it's different when you're like a superstar. Like, you know, we complain about guys LTIRing their team. Like, Florida's doing it right now with Tkachuk. Maybe not intentionally. They probably would like to have him back right about now. But it'll be interesting to see how Tkachuk does coming back. But, like, he's not Matthew Tkachuk or Kucherov or Stone or like, one of the superstars of the league, I think it's going to be hard for him to keep up. So I don't know if he's going to come in and be an impact player, even if he is healthy.
I don't know though. Like, it's tough because I don't even know if we know what the injury is at this point.
I don't know what it is.
But it's like he was in more games than not before he was injured.
A top 6 guy.
Well, he's a top 6 guy. He brought like an element of physicality that the Leafs like didn't have. Like he was a good fit, and then he just kind of disappeared.
Element of physicality. That guy was unleashed. He was walking a line for a while there before he got injured. He was getting close.
Is it out of this is, I guess, maybe a Tim question, but like, can we not bring him back prior to the playoffs under our salary cap situation right now?
If we bring him back, I think we have to waive someone.
Hey, which is pretty much not an option, I guess, unless you waive one of our defensemen. Like, I don't see them waiving any of those forwards that we were talking about. So I guess not. Like, I'd feel differently if he came back, whatever, Wednesday, right, or something like that, right, and plays out the stretch. But
they might put him on one of those conditioning stints where they can kind of cheat the salary cap and let him play some games with the Marlies to get amped up. But like, who are you taking out of the lineup to get him in? Because I think Camp is going to be in the line. I have a very hard time seeing that in the playoffs, where all you want are defensively responsible players, for David Camp to not be your fourth line center. To me, I think that's a shoo-in. And I think probably Craig Berube's favorite player on this entire team is Holmberg. Like, he loves that guy, and I'd be shocked if Holmberg is. Even though I think that you could probably make a pretty strong case that Holmberg should be the guy who comes out, I don't think he's coming out. So if you bring in a guy like Pacioretty or Robertson, it's probably booting Yarncrook out of the lineup, and I don't know if you want to do that either. So it's pretty tight up front, and I don't think Robertson or Pacioretty are at least in game one, maybe in like a shakeup if we start losing or need some more offense or something. But game one, I don't see that being the plan.
So you think the way it is right now, like what we dressed for Sunday night, you'd see that being the combination?
It feels very telling to me that they have a back-to-back and Nicky Robb plays neither of the games. Like, I think if they were considering him as an option, he would have played one of those games. So I think that what we saw on Sunday against the Ducks there, I do think that that's probably our lineup.
A California kid too, by the way.
That's right. Rejected him in his hometown in LA.
That's going to be a tough, like last year he signed a 1-year deal, and he's RFA again this year. Like, he's going to arbitration for sure if he doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, Nicky Robb specifically, he's got 12 goals. I think he has like 7 assists or something. Like, it's not like he's a playmaking machine. Because when we're roasting Max Domi for having 1 goal by Christmas, he's got tons of assists, and he's still like generating something offensively. He's just not always putting it in that. Nicky Robb's kind of the opposite, but I don't know that I disagree with you guys. It's just like when it comes to Pontus Holmberg, like he's not playing. He's not a penalty kill guy anymore. He doesn't really do, like, he's just kind of out there. He's vanilla.
He's kind of like a Frederick Gauthier. Just kind of put him out on the ice and just like nothing will happen. Nothing good will happen, but nothing bad will happen.
So is that needed come playoff time on a fourth line role?
Well, I think what's also important, and what has burned Nick Robertson for what feels like 8 years now, is what is more important than almost anything in the playoffs is, does the coach trust the player? And clearly Berube does trust Holmberg, and no one trusts Nick Robertson on the street. The poor guy, you feel for him, because he's developed. He's better than he is last year. He's shown like flashes of being good, but it's just
the thing about Nick Robertson is that he kind of has one thing, and that's like he has a good shot. Like, he has a really good shot. It's probably a better shot than most people on the Maple Leafs, especially better than the other people that he's competing in this lineup spot for. So it's more about like, what are the Maple Leafs needs here? And if we get into the series against Ottawa, who we're facing against right now, if the playoffs started today, who's a really defensive, stingy team, then maybe we're going to decide, you know what, we need some more offense. We're 3 games into this. We're having trouble scoring. We need Nicky Robb in here. Or
a defensive, stingy team. They have Allmark, and that's it.
They've pretty good numbers. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I
should respect them.
I actually, if it works out, I would much rather see Max Pacioretty on that fourth line alongside David Kampf and Steven Lorentz. And hear me out, Rye. Don't you squint. Don't you ever squint.
The guy hasn't played
like
in 2 months. Go ahead.
Well, this is me assuming that, like, he's basically on Robidas Island and is essentially healthy right now and is staying in shape and stuff like that, right? And he's been injured a handful of other times this season, come back and done fine. But I just think that, like, his game's not built on speed, and that fourth line isn't at all. But I think I can see him scoring a playoff goal more than I can see Pontus Holmberg or Nicky Robb in that spot. He has before. I think he's the guy, and he brings that physicality, right, that we're going to want that fourth line to do. Steven Lorentz does that. David Kampf, everybody seems to be pissed at Kampf all the time. Like, I could see that line being gritty, and he's the one I want there. So if I'm ranking them, it probably goes him, and then it goes Pontus Holmberg, and then it goes Nicky Robb for me. Oh, sorry, Calle Yarncrook is above Pontus Holmberg. So, like in this ranking of who could slot in those spots, I think everybody else is set. Like, Steven Lorentz is playing next to David Kampf. Scott Laughton's playing next to Max Domi. It's just those other spots that are... Because, yeah, that's where I'm at.
I mean, it's maybe a record. We've spent now 16 minutes on this podcast, and we haven't talked about the core four. Especially when they've been, like, so hot. Like, William Nylander is... actually basically won me the hockey pool so far with his performance.
It's actually interesting about William Nylander. Shut up about your hockey pool, Tim. You win every year. You don't need to bring it onto the pod. Leave us alone.
No, people want to know, I think.
Nylander hit 40 goals, which was his career high. He's done it 3 times now. But he hit 40 goals on the same game that he did last year, which was really surprising to me. I forgot that he went like the final 11 or 12 games of the season last year without scoring a single goal. And then after that, he missed the first, 4 games of the playoffs with his injury. So Nylander now, with, the very next game after hitting 40 goals, he scored, 2 or maybe it was the 2 games after. But, now he's already up to 42 on the season. And it's encouraging that's, okay, we're, they're all 4 of them are playing really well right now. Matthews is playing some of the best he's played all season, which is amazing. Tavares scores 1 to 2 goals.
Turns out he did get
every
healthy
game.
playing through his injury.
He was just faking it. Tim's a doctor, and he said he would do that. So it's no, the core 4 is all performing really, really well here. I wish Nyes got his goal the other day, but he's also looking good anyway, even though the puck's not going in for him.
I think if there's no one around you, you can high stick that puck down, keep it in play. I think that thing was sick. I think Matthew Nyes deserved that goal. He's such a horse out there too. I mean, he's so physical. Matthew Nyes is what a blessing. What a blessing to actually have a draft developed player that isn't one of the core 4 guys,
It's
actually turn out.
Though I don't know how much offseason we talk you want to get into, but that contract negotiation is just getting more expensive by the month.
For Nyes?
Yeah, the start of the year I think we were talking it'd be nice to get him locked up at $5 million. And then at Christmas it'd be oh yeah, $7 million for this guy. Now it's is he worth $9 million a year?
Well, we can get into it now.
$9 million. The guy doesn't even score 30 goals. Come on, Tim.
Plays, even though he's having a really, really great season, and I love having him on the team. You're playing on a line with a 100-point man, hopefully here in Mitch Marner, Auston freaking Matthews, and you're feasting. We've seen that before.
I mean, there's a bit of it. You could see it. I don't want to talk about this too long. We have a whole offseason to talk about the Nyes contract. But
okay, but other important. Oh, Tim, sorry. Go
ahead. I did want to talk about Bobby McMahon. So he's the one that
my man. Tim bringing up my man. Tim likes to act like he doesn't exist because his man's. Sorry, I'm calling out Tim. Go ahead.
He's has he cemented his role in that second line? You think?
Yeah,
he's the guy.
I think that top 6 is just locked in, and maybe if things are, that line of JT Nylander and McMahon are really cold in the playoffs, they'll switch something up. I wouldn't be surprised if Pacioretty does come back in, that they just put him right back up there. He had his most success on that line as well. But I game 1 for sure, and I think that he'll even have a little bit of leash. He's played really well in the back half of this, and partially it's because JT and Nylander around him are playing some of their best hockey they've had all season right now as well. But yeah, he looks like a top 6 winger to me right now. I think he's staying.
Do I win?
Nope.
What do you mean? What do you mean nope?
What do
you mean nope?
Like what? Our seventh best forward? You're done.
He's
Jake,
give me a
Jake
break.
McCabe is the man. We haven't talked
He's our
about this
seventh
yet.
best forward. He's better than Max Domi, right?
All right, maybe you're. All right, anyway.
We're gonna
moving
let the
on.
listeners
Nah.
decide. Give me a break. It's funny though. You say if that second line goes cold, we change it up. Like if that second line goes cold, we're losing in the playoffs. Honestly, like that second
Well,
line.
no, hold on. That's
has
not necessarily
carried
true.
A
Like
lot of nights.
you have one of those two lines cooking on any given night, either Matthews, Marner, Nyes, or Tavares, Nylander, McMahon. That should be enough, right? Like you don't need to score 5 or 6 goals. Like if you could score 3 goals because one of those lines is cooking and you get some offense from your bottom 6 or from a defenseman or something, like that's enough to win you a game. That's where our strength is, that like we have 2 lines out there who any one of them could just like dominate a game. And if Matthews and Marner are just being hard checked and the other team's doing a really good job and they can't get anything done, guess what? Over the bench next is John Tavares, who's going to have like 40 goals this year. So we're in good shape.
Mitch Marner specifically, though, just as we're gearing up for the playoffs here, Mitch is a guy that's frustrated in the playoffs in the past. I really see a difference in his game right now in how he challenges the net, and it's resulting in obviously like a really great offensive season. He's on pace to have his best point total ever. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what he brings to the table this playoffs, because I just think he's playing differently. Like it's, even if he ends up with 99 points, which I think he's done like once or twice before, it's a very different looking 100 points that he's gotten in past seasons. And so, yeah.
It is pretty crazy that he's still on pace for 100 points when his line mate Auston Matthews is not scoring 70 goals. Like, there's 40 goals missing from Auston Matthews this year. That's basically 40 assists for Mitch Marner, because he assists on every single one. And he's still at 100 points. Where are the assists coming from?
It's the same thing with Max Domi, right? Where is he generating this 40 assists or whatever he's got? I'm not sure. Can we get a stat correction?
He's got 22 assists.
Which one?
Max
Domi? Oh, Tim's got the stats up. Why did I say 40? Why you got to fact check me live on the pod? Let the
did ask
listeners
for
at
it.
home fact check me and be like, that's Steven's stupid. Can we get into the goalies?
Oh boy.
So, Joseph Woll, Anthony Stolars, James Reimer. Now, scratch that third one. But we've got more of a goaltending conundrum than we've had in the past.
You missed Matt Murray.
All right.
Don't. Well, okay, Matt Murray, he can suit back up. I was about to ask who would you want to see less in the playoffs?
It was
Matt
around
Murray
this
or
time
Ryan
last year
Reeves?
that Matt Murray's name appeared in the stalls.
stall.
We were like, what's going on?
So Wednesday's a big game. Wednesday is Florida, and we'll maybe get into it a little later on. But Joseph Woll plays Sunday night in Anaheim. Anthony Stolars plays Saturday night in LA. Who do you think plays on Wednesday? Because I think this is really telling for who Berube is thinking of as the current number one. Obviously, like I said, Woll played Sunday night, so he's the most recent goalie to have played. Stolars has played Florida the last 2 times we played them this season. What's the heat check from the boys, the brothers, on the goaltending tandem coming into Wednesday?
Who do you think, Ryan?
I'd be pretty shocked if it's not Stolars. I think that Stolars is leading the race between the two of them right now. I think that California road trip was a big check. The fact that they gave Stolars the quote-unquote hard game, even though we played... They didn't look like it was the hard game. It looks like the San Jose game or the Anaheim game was the hard game by the way we played. But I think that like that paired with Stolars really really well in that LA game, paired with Woll had that bad blunder against San Jose, and even like letting in a couple goals against Anaheim to blow the lead. And it just feels like I think Stolars has the edge right now, and I do think that he'll get it against Florida. But Steven, you mentioned that he played the last 2 games against Florida. He lost both those games against Florida. And Florida's his old team. Like, I wonder if there is a point where, like, if you play him on Wednesday and he loses again, are you going to play him again when we play Florida for the 4th time next week? What if he loses that? Are you going to go into a season series against Florida where your main goaltender is just like 0 for 4 against them? Like, maybe it's worth putting Wall in and just seeing, like, maybe this guy has something against Florida.
I mean, that is the big point, I think. Like, you think about it in baseball, right? Like, you have the batters that, like, they see the pitchers come up, right? You don't want to go 3 times through the order. Is it more beneficial for the goalie to understand the shooters, or for the shooters to understand the goalie? That's what it kind of comes down to. It is a coin flip for me. I do think Stolar starts game 1 of the playoffs. However, I think this game on Wednesday, it could go either way. I'm tempted to say Wall just because I like disagreeing with Ryan on principle.
On principle.
You ask Ryan what he thinks, and then just like, so that
defer to Ryan so I can intentionally disagree.
Well, hey, I get my material for this podcast by disagreeing.
You just think you're all that because you win the hockey pool. Give me a break.
It's important, but
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I do think that Stolarz does have the edge, and not like I don't think that blunder in San Jose is. Though it will be on YouTube tracks for a while, I don't think that...
The same way that you have, like, Nick Robertson or any one of our players in playoffs past just make some stupid blunder and it results in a goal against us, and you're like, well, that guy is never playing in a playoff game for us again. Like, what if Joseph Wall did that in a playoff game? Or in a game, like, in the game against Florida, like, you know, one of these really important games that, like, it matters. It's the trust factor, and Stolarz has been more steady than Wall all season. And not just throw shade at Wall. I think he's really good, and if we need to call him into the playoffs, he'll be ready. But I just think that stuff like that, I don't think it's just on the blooper reel and you forget it. Like, that you kind of remember that and you think, can I trust Wall right now? Like, we need every single save. That's going to be tight games. I'm going to go with, you know, the more steady goaltender Stolarz here. Where are you at, Steven?
I think Wednesday's an opportunity if they put Wall in to take the net. If he came out there and had a really strong game against them, like we have some easy games coming up and we have some hard games coming up, right? Wednesday's a hard one. And if whoever you put in on Wednesday, like if we win on Wednesday, I think that guy is going to get the hard games going forward. I don't think they want to go into the playoffs with a question mark at who's going to be the game 1 starter. I feel like that never ends well. I just think I think it's going to be Stolarz too. I don't think it's the right call, honestly. I think Wall did great on Sunday. They were having some rest. I think you should put Wall in on Wednesday. And if the Leafs lose, I'm going to say it's because of that solely. I don't care what else happened. But yeah, just you put a guy out there. He's lost 2 times, and you know, it's possible we don't even see Florida in the playoffs. Like I have no idea, but I just think you got to give a different guy a chance. Like, it's not like Joe Wall is Matt Murray in this situation, right? Like, in the recent months, even though, like, the performances have looked a little different, statistically, they're very similar goalies right now, Joe Wall and Anthony Stolarz. So, like, I just think they're going to give it to him because I still think in Berube's mind, as I'm reading his mind, I think he still thinks of Stolarz as the guy, which is why he got the big game on Saturday against LA. But I want to see Joe Woll against this team. Joe Woll played really well in the playoffs last year, right?
I do agree with what you said, Steven, that no matter who we start in that game on Wednesday, if we win, that goalie's going to be the new front runner. Like, if it's Wall and he beats Florida, done. Wall's the new number 1, at least, like, for now. We'll see if it lasts for the next 8 games. But if it's Stolarz and he wins, then I think that's just locked it down that, yep, Stolarz is going to be the guy. So it just further goes to show that game, it's a massive game on Wednesday.
And the same thing could be said for the next time we play Florida too, right? Regardless of what happens tonight, let's say Woll goes out and stinks.
The difference for Florida next time is a back-to-back. Florida on Tuesday, Tampa on Wednesday.
Oof. Get
That's
Murray
not
ready.
Cool. That is not cool, by the way.
Well, Florida's on a back-to-back. Like, they're playing Tuesday night, and then we play them on Wednesday. So the schedule makers just being dummies.
Yeah, but who do they play on Tuesday? Probably the Orlando Solar Bears.
It's Montreal. They have a rematch against Montreal after the idiot did a slap shot at head height across the whole ice. Now they play them 2 days later. There's going to be heads that roll in that game.
Maybe they'll be beat up coming in. Yeah, I guess we are being done a solid there. But anyway, it's just I don't know. Feels like a huge decision. Kind of feels like every other huge decision this year, though, has fallen Stolarz' way. Now that I think about it, I feel like we've had this conversation a couple times on the pod about who starts and just ends it.
Well, it feels like forever ago that the goalies had injury problems. Remember, Stolarz was out for a long time. Wall started the season injured. Like the first half of the season, it felt like there were no decisions. It was just Stolarz is healthy, so he starts. Now Wall is healthy, so he starts. And it's only in the latter maybe couple months that it's been a bit more interesting of a goalie race here. We'll see where it might come down to just like who's hot at the very end, but it does look like it's leaning Stolarz' way.
I don't know if anybody's hot right now either, right? Like nobody's specifically hot.
Get Domi in net.
But it's important to get that figured out because when I was on this pod yelling a few weeks ago about why I feel so confident in the Leafs' playoff series is because for a while there, it felt like we would have the goaltending edge regardless of who we were playing because one of our guys would be that on fire as they were at the beginning of the season. And right now it does not feel that way whatsoever, right? If we go, like, you're making fun of Ottawa. If we go against Ullmark, I'm going to think Ullmark's a better goalie than Woll or Stolarz right now. So,
I mean, that was a questionable statement when you made it back there. As we're looking down like Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky.
Well, just because they have the name doesn't mean, though, they're better in that exact moment. Like, Bobrovsky right now is not better, I think, than Woll or Stolarz. But, like, Vasilevsky shows a little different. I forget. But, I don't know. Like I'm going off of how are you playing right this second? Because Anthony Stolarz was not even a thing 13 months ago, right? Like, was not even a thing. So, Tim's an old man. He just needs like what? How long you been in the league? You really gonna suit that guy up for a playoff game? How long has he been around? Tim wants, and then if they're old, it's like they're too old now. Well, you gotta be like that perfectly ripe banana for Tim to decide that you're ready to play an NHL playoff game.
That's where
ripe,
podcasting's the same way, Steven. You're a little green banana over there, and I'm the perfectly ripe banana.
What is Ryan? Can he be a plantain? I don't really know what that is compared to bananas, but
I don't know. But we haven't, in classic Leafs cast fashion, we have not talked about the defense. We talked about Lawton a little bit, but do you guys want to talk about Carlo? So Carlo is someone who has impressed me the past couple weeks as he's starting to fit in, starting to realize Morgan Riley. Assume he's not where he's supposed to be, and he'll adapt accordingly, and they'll do a little better. But,
sheesh. I did not open the pod saying I miss Fraser Minton. Not when you're looking at that 6'5" beauty, Brandon Carlo. I mean, this guy rocks. This guy rocks, man.
Literally rocks people.
Yeah, he's been a sighting for sure. I mean, that top four feels really cemented. Riley still has the occasional off performance. I wasn't even gonna say off play, just off game every once in a while. Even over this past couple weeks. But Brandon Carlo has made a huge difference. I'm so glad he's here. He's got that even though we hate it when we go against it, that Boston edge in front of the net too, where he's just pissed off all the time.
He's just big and angry.
Yeah. So, and people like to pick fights with him. I mean, he fought the other night. I feel like people are always picking fights with him. I don't know if he's talking smack. But yeah, that just rocks. So top four, great. You go down the lineup a little bit more.
It's been rough for Benoit recently. I wonder if we see Myers, but it's like, I don't like that either of those guys are in. Well, I mean, I'm gonna say I don't like either of the guys in our playoff lineup, but
it's been Benoit like exclusively for a long time now. Like I think that six is locked in at this point, and maybe same thing as everything else. If they're struggling in the playoffs, if Benoit has a muffin up the ice and it goes our way, then. You might see Myers come in, but you're right. That bottom pair hasn't looked the best. Actually, Ekman Larsson's looked all right. It's really just Benoit, I guess.
Yeah.
Just to bring back to Carlo, it kind of reminds me of when we brought in Ryan O'Reilly, and it was just like exactly as advertised, and it was exactly what we needed, and it was just perfect, and life was wonderful. And that's just Carlo. It's just like, oh yeah, this guy's exactly what we needed. It's actually what we needed for a long time now. And he just delivers. He checks all the boxes. Every game, he's great. I don't remember seeing a play ever where I'm like, oof, what was Carlo doing there? Whatever. Maybe it's because they never score when he's on the ice. Like, just gets at our end and he gets it back out of our end so quickly. Yeah. He's been a real nice addition. You're right. I don't miss Minton. I don't miss that first round pick. 3 years of Carlo at like 3.1 or whatever his cap it is. That is sweet stuff. And we get to see him in the playoffs. Like, he's huge. He's going to be so good in the playoffs. Our top 4 is solid. It's really good.
Yeah.
I'll bet.
Crazy. So, we've got 9 games to go. I didn't actually fact check that. Is that 9? Whatever. I'm gonna say it's 9.
Nope. We have 6.
That's it.
8.
Wait,
8
how
games.
many do we have?
I was thinking 80 games for 82. That's right.
Oh,
8 games.
My lights just
People
changed.
know who to listen to on the podcast.
It's getting late over here. All right. What are you guys looking for out of this group as we, wind down this season and prepare for the playoffs? What are you guys looking for?
We spent a fair amount of time talking about it already, but I want to see that third line get cemented because someone has just like grabbed that role. And maybe it's just like Lawton steps into it and becomes who we wanted him to be when we got him. But I just want to see the same way that Bobby McMahon just said, yes, I am your left winger in the top 6, and it's done. And now we're all just like, yep, he deserves to be there. He stepped up. He's playing well. He's going to be your top. I want to see that line of, I don't know, like Yarncrook enter that line and just like look great. And that line is clicking and it's creating some offense. It's not gaffing. Or Robertson just say like, I'm going to score a goal every other game for the rest of the series because I want more money next year on my contract. I don't know. I want to see us be a 3-line deep team. For a long time in the playoffs, we've been 2 lines. And when they don't get it done, we get nothing from our bottom 6. So I want to see us be a 3-line deep team. That's what I want to see over the next 8 games.
Originally I was going to say I want to see the Toronto play with like edge over the next 8 games, like getting that playoff mindset. But then it's like, you play with edge, the other team's going to start playing with edge, and you're going to get injured. And that's the ultimate thing that you want. But I'm gonna say I want to see the power play keep clipping. I feel like maybe it's just because I'm scarred, but it feels like for the past few years, like April has just been a graveyard of the Leafs power play and has us like sweating going into the playoffs, and it's always a factor. We're always the second best power play, but recently been good. If we can keep up that power play momentum, like this 5-forward unit, like this keep going, I will be a happy. Well, I don't know. We're Leafs fans. We're never that happy, but
we had the best power play in the entire league over the month of March. That never happens, right? And we always like start off strong and then just get worse and worse and worse. And we're so bad going into the playoffs. And then the playoffs start and we're still bad. Like it's not like the switch flips or something. So that's a really good one. I love that.
Mine's a little bit power play related, but it for me still starts and ends with Auston Matthews. I haven't talked about him much on this pod yet, and I get it that the top 6 is looking a lot better and this power play is looking a lot better, but I still think Auston Matthews has 1 or 2 more gears to go to get to the kind of guy that we need come playoff time. I still don't see, because like Ryan, I was saying before, and I meant it, like if the second line's not cooking, I don't think we win because I just don't think the current state of Auston Matthews is going to take over a playoff series.
You were literally just singing the praises of Matthew Nyes. Mitch Marner still has a 100-point season.
Well, yeah.
Did you see Matthews in that third period against Los Angeles? Like that was Hart Trophy caliber Auston Matthews in that game.
We've seen some of it, right? We've seen some of it, but not enough of it. It's just not there for me yet. And like Tim, I'm scarred because we've gone seasons where it's the opposite of the power play, where Auston Matthews is electric for every second up until the final game of the season, and then playoffs start and it gets a whole lot harder, and it's going to be tough. That's just what it is. Like I could let a lot of these other things go if Auston Matthews gets back to 80 goals a year. Man, I'm going to feel a lot better going into the playoffs. We need those goals are going to be tough to score. We got these big goalies we got to go against. Like that's what it is. Maybe it's a lame answer. It's better. It is better. I feel more comfortable that we're going to get there right now than I would have a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. But he's our best player. And when I look at like a team like Anaheim that we're playing the other night, that's just like dog water, but they've got like some good guys. I'm like, man, what's the difference between us and Anaheim, right? Like, because sometimes we look similar on the ice, right? I'm like, how are we first in our division and Anaheim's picking first overall again like they always are. And it's because of these stars like Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner and William Nylander. And if we don't have them, it's going to be tough come playoff time. So it's Auston Matthews for me.
Just you mentioned briefly about these big goaltenders we're going against. Right now, if the playoffs start, we're playing Ottawa and we're going to be playing Ullmark. It's kind of interesting. Like last year when we were playing Boston, they did their tandem swap where like Ullmark played a game, then Swayman played a game, and they swapped back between games no matter who was winning or who was hot. And we were able to beat Ullmark. Like Ullmark was significantly easier of an opponent than Swayman was. We like could barely get anything past Swayman. And arguably the only reason why that series made it to 7 games is because Boston kept putting Ullmark in the net and we were able to beat the guy. So I don't know. We'll see if maybe we have that guy's number and we'll do okay against Ottawa. But we're definitely going to do a playoff preview pod once we know who our opponent is going to be. We might not know until literally the very last game of the regular season. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, New York's right in there. Obviously, Columbus is as well. Yeah, it's very tight over there. Tim, I do love you being like calling out how like, you want to play Columbus? We lost to them. Like, do you think there's more than one guy on that team that played for Columbus when they beat us in the bubble 5 years ago? Honestly, though.
Werenski would still be there. I think he was there when we were in the bubble.
Yeah, what Werenski was.
I don't really remember a lot of other players. Like I know Foligno was there, but he's obviously long gone. I can't remember anyone else.
Like
Long
Dubois
gone.
was there. He's
Seth
gone.
Jones was there, wasn't he? Or
Adam Fantilli wasn't even in the league.
No, he was like in 8th grade, right? Yeah, like that's what I'm saying though, Tim. Where you just look at the sweater, you're like,
Tortorella has been hired by another team and fired since that playoff series.
We'll fact check it. It's probably just Werenski. I would guess maybe one other guy. That's it.
They don't have the
Jenner.
goal. Is Korpisalo? No, he's.
They had more Merzlikins and Korpisalo.
Is one of them still there?
Run. Korpisalo,
This does not matter. Why are we still on this?
because I'm talking and this is my podcast.
All
That's
right.
why we're still on.
I would say like of all of, like I think first in the division is head and shoulders above importance next to like after that, but like between Ottawa, Montreal, New York Rangers, Columbus, I don't know if there's a standout performer there that say like, oh, at least match up well against this team. I would like not to face Ullmark in net just because of my PTSD, but
Well, there's no point even like it's very unlikely that Montreal or any of those other teams behind Montreal passes Ottawa, and it's also very unlikely that Toronto passes Washington for first in the East. So like Toronto is either facing Ottawa because they won the division, or Tampa because Florida won the division, or Florida because Tampa won the division. Like those are really the only 3 outcomes here. Which none of them are great. Like Ottawa's been one of the hottest teams in the league for a couple months now. It feels like there's 3 good teams. The Leafs are not going to have an easy matchup against any of them.
I do love this idea for like Ottawa. Like they've been, scratching to get into the playoffs for like 5 years now. It's like you get there and you've got to play us or the Florida teams. Just like, this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Really?
I think I would like to play Ottawa because I think the Leafs would have the best chance of beating Ottawa. I think that they're worse than Florida or Tampa is. But if Ottawa beats us and we get beat by a team that's just happy to be there, like those fans in the stands are chanting, "We want playoffs." The Leafs fans
those are
not
Leafs fans
that.
in the stands, Ryan.
That's right. It's just like if they beat us in the first round, then without a shadow of a doubt that change needs to come. It's not this, we lost to Florida, but they're like winning the cup again or something. Like you lose to Ottawa, it's done. Like you just know. If you beat Ottawa, great. Then we all get to be happy. So that's what I want. I want Ottawa. Let's get it done.
I agree.
And we'll win. I'm not scared of Ullmark. We cruised past that guy last year.
I'm not scared of Ullmark either. I don't know what Tim.
I am a little scared of Brady Tkachuk though. Like that guy was probably the best player on all of Team America in that 4 Nations face-off.
Tim might need to stay on the pod for maybe 5 minutes after we hop off, Ryan. Just, I don't know, get some of your other thoughts out. There's some scarring going on here. I think we got to get deep in Tim's mind here.
That is a scary place.
On what's going on with Linus.
Lots of hurt. Lots of tears.
I'm wrapping the pod now.
All right.
That's it. It's done. Leafs cast was back. The Leafs are back. Big game on Wednesday. Hey, before we sign off, did they win? What do you think happens Wednesday?
I think the Leafs win. Maximum chaos.
Florida off of a back-to-back. They're pretty banged up as it is.
Florida's not been playing too well lately. Like they're really missing their guy. Like they're missing Marchand. Like their acquisition is just not there. He's still injured. Kachuk is still injured after the Four Nations. Ekblad is still suspended because he took Tylenol or something. They have a couple other guys who are injured too.
No, Marchand's played. Marchand has played.
Oh, has he? Oh, what?
Yeah,
How have I missed that?
Well, that just started, but it's I just think we've got a chance here. But then I hope it's a good win because I don't want to narrowly beat the
I also don't want to win 8-0, given bulletin board material.
2-0 Stolar shutout. That's what it'll be.
2-0 Wool shutout. Shut up, Ryan. Tim say Matt Murray shutout.
James Farmer shutout.
Good one.
Ryan, name an old Leafs goalie.
Viva Leiden.
Okay, there you go. Oh, give me that one. The one that made a YouTube channel. It's over a C. Kaskasuo. Casimir Kaskasuo.
KK.
He let in 6 goals against Pittsburgh. They fired somebody and...
I thought it was New Jersey. Pittsburgh?
I can't remember. Signing off. Pod's done.